The warring factions in Sudan have agreed to yet another ceasefire on the last day. Both sides will also nominate representatives for peace talks. The commitment to a 7-day truce follows diplomatic attempts from South Sudan to try and bring an end to almost 3 weeks of fighting in its neighboring country. Previously, multiple ceasefires, which ranged from about 24 to 72 hours, have been reached but have failed to hold at least entirely, with sporadic fighting reported in various parts of the country, especially around the capital, Khartoum. Let's talk more about the situation in Sudan with Professor Mammo Muchie, who's an international relations expert. Professor, a very good evening to you. Grateful for your time. So barely a day after the last announcement of a week-long ceasefire, we're hearing still reports of sporadic shelling as well as gunfire. Why are these ceasefires failing to hold in their entirety?
Well, thank you very much for, really focusing on this really very challenging problem that we now are hearing taking place in Sudan. What you said is very important. Why do they do, ceasefires for 72 hours for, why do they keep doing things like that? I mean, and then at the same time, as you rightly put it, they still do the fighting, the shooting, and blowing airports, things like that. Why do they do that? I don't understand why they say they are for peace, and at the same time they do fighting. And these two people, these two generals, were also allies. How did they become also enemies? And this is a serious issue that is amazing, to be honest with you. And it's not good. And who is suffering? Ordinary people, innocent people. All right? They are dying and they are migrating, and many really strange things are happening to the ordinary people. So why is the politics like that? And then the Sudan became independent in 1956, before Ghana became independent. Remember when we celebrate African independence, the first country we always talk about is Ghana, because we had a great leader like Kwame Nkrumah, who said, Africa must unite or perish. That's here in Khartoum. What did we have? After the 1956, they had, initially they had a kind of civil government, but later coup d'etats. Over 15 type coup d'etats have been taking place. So this unpredictability in this country is really very sad and very heartbreaking, to be honest with you.
And you referenced the fact that, Professor, that these two generals at some point had shared power or collaborated, especially in the post-2019 period after the removal of the longtime leader of Sudan, Omar al-Bashir. But some would say even in regular friendships, often people who you were once close with become your fiercest adversaries. So what then can be done to bring Sudan back from war?
It's a very interesting question. This guy, Omar al-Bashir, the first one, they made a coup d'etat in 2019, and they overthrew him. When they overthrew him, they were together. They are allied. Then they said they supported the civilian government that came to power. And then immediately after that, one of them, you see, he what did he do? he again made a coup d'etat and overthrew the civilian government. At the same time, they said that by this year, 2023, they will do again, a civilian government will come. That both the generals said they will agree to make sure that a transition will come from military to a civilian government. Then instead, what do? The Sudanese army start fighting this rapid support forces, they call it. So they have two militaries. And then they started the war. So what you don't understand is why they are actually doing it. And the main reason why they do it is because I think there's also the economic interest they have. I heard there's a lot of wealth. The country is rich, gold, many things they have. And then these military leaders, when they take power, they have access to these resources and the state enterprises, many things like that. Then what happens is, once you see, when you become power and money drives them more, not serving the people, not creating really a system, a democratic system to make sure all the people in Sudan can live with peace and security and safety. They go to the opposite direction. Mm-hmm. And look what has happened now. The country is in a difficult situation now. And the problem now is that this, even all the external actors also, they can come, but the way they are doing it, they are not doing it by uniting. There are many, many countries that are involved in the whole region, that whole area, the Sahel area, Chad. You have also, in the whole Horn of Africa area. And you have Egypt and so on. And then you have also external actors like the United States and Russia, all of them. What you have is many, many countries are there, but they all say there should be peace for Sudan. They should all come to an agreement. But they don't. They do it individually. They don't agree, unite and come. For example, the United Nations, the African Union, all of them should be together and just say, this is what we want you to do, and this is what you must do, and this is our not just recommendation. If we don't action like that, we'll together take action to make sure that you guys cannot continue to make the people die.
Could we see a situation then, Professor Muchie, where Sudan, if this drags on further, maybe 6 months, a year, 2 years, a situation where the country may even face a split similar to what we saw in Libya following the fall of Muammar Gaddafi in 2011, where you've got the internationally recognized government, but you also have the government which was led by Khalifa Haftar, and you mentioned international players. Even there, those two sides were backed, by different governments internationally, as some even accused of supplying them with arms at some point.
I think what you just asked is a very important question. If there is no way by which all these fighters now that are doing the war can come together and make an agreement, in the principled agreement, to say that from the military dictatorship, let Sudan enter into the civilian culture and civilian approach to governance and systems and institutions building. If they don't do that, and all the external actors also support this, they instead do this. They support one, all right, this Fatah al-Bukhar, another one, this other guy, Mohammed Amdi
Dagalo, yes, General Dagalo.
And if they are going to support them like that, and they have different actors doing it, then trust me, Sudan will again split, like it did with South Sudan and the Sudan. Now the current Sudan can also split. When this happens, the entire region, that Horn of Africa region, that Sahel region, will be affected. Even Chad now is affected by all these people going to Chad because it's very close. You see, and already this has been happening. Many strange things have been happening. The International Criminal Court has been saying that some of these leaders that have been involved in genocide and crimes against humanity, all this action must be taken against them. So they are also afraid. If they like their money more than their people, serving the people. Their salary for them is, their own money and not serving the people. The best salary for all political leaders in Africa, I hope they could learn this, must be the best salary is to serve the people.
Right.
When they serve the people, they will get better award. People will give them much more recognition, not when their bank is full. No. That is not good. to be honest with you. It is not fair. It's not their pocket. It's heart. You see? It's to avoid bitterness, to create forgiveness, all right? To avoid hate, to avoid killing. That is the kind of thing, this culture. We have a great value that came from our lovely, beautiful South Africa, all right? From our ancestors, Ubuntu. We have many, many values. Why don't we even practice our own great values? That will save not only us, the whole of the world, the whole of humanity. You are me, I'm you. This is extraordinary. I mean, we have great values. Why don't they really practice this? Why in Africa also, the African Union, all of them are not really acting very systematically to make sure that such things don't happen? All right, there must be some rules that, all the African states, if they are misbehaving, they are misgoverning their people, they should be told not to do that, so that there must be a system to be even members of the African Union. There must be some quality. Otherwise, how could you make them, when we graduate our students, make them PhDs? Unless we evaluate very systematically and they qualify, we don't give them degrees.
Right.
In the same way, why can't even all the African Union make sure that for them to qualify to even be members, they must value African unity, they must value the people, the service of the people, and not their own service, not their own self-interest, not their own power, not their own money. That is the most important thing, I think, that lessons must be drawn from this disaster that's happening now against the people, the really innocent people of Sudan. I mean, I've met some of in Scandinavia, when we used to have the Horn of Africa conference, even the South African embassy, everything were involved with us. They were trying to see how we can create peace and security. We have, there's IGAD, there's all these organizations there are. What are they doing? We don't see any serious action to make sure no Sudanese person must be killed. If they are killed, it's like all of us being suffering and being killed. That's how I see it. I really believe that that these innocent people who are really good, very, to be honest with you, from when I met them, they are very. And I was also, I don't know whether I told you, I had a conference, a workshop on the Grand Renaissance Dam in Khartoum, the University of Khartoum, and all of them were involved with it. And they were very, very nice when I was discussing with them. Sudan must be like Ethiopia. Ethiopia must be like Egypt. There should be unity. We not fighting each other. That's what I have been advising them, and they were very nice people, the Sudanese people. So I
Right.
just feel so they are in a very tough and difficult situation. I appreciate it so much. Sorry for taking time.
Not a problem. We appreciate your insights as ever, Professor Mammo Muchie. Great to speak to you tonight on a very devastating situation still unfolding in Sudan. Thank you.